My message today's darshan. It deals with you and the power of the ego and the ego mind. In the spiritual process, in the spiritual discipline, path, on the path, your identity changes as you move more into the spiritual domain. And what you're moving into is subtle energy being, subtle energy anatomy, subtle energy identity. And the ego really is a subtle tool. It's not in the physical, it's not in the brain makeup. These scientists are opening up the brain and checking the brain, but it's like a computer, it's a tool, it needs an operator. It may have a lot of automated processes, like what we do in artificial intelligence, but they still need a creator behind them. Otherwise, at some point, they will self-destruct. So that the body may have some automatic functions, it still cannot function without you, without your subtle body, without your subtle identity. But what I want to say today is the power of that subtle identity. It's quantum. When you begin to use it, it's like microwaving. It's creating all these energies, these waves. Quantum is about wave energy. It's creating all these waves of energy from the different centers where resonance happens. Waves in the heart, waves in the gut, waves in the cranial area. You create these waves. And they can soothe you, they can be like a balm, they can be healing, or they can be quite destructive. So when you begin to create these monstrous kind of patterns within you that come from ignorance and low self-esteem and unworthiness and disaster thinking, you're destroying the poor body. Every negative thought, every aggressive thought, every depressing thought goes towards undermining your energies, your vital energies that we call prana, and ultimately has a negative effect on the body. It slowly destroys your immunity. We talk about chemo destroying the immunity chemically, but you're slowly destroying your immunity by all these negative thinking. So you don't even need chemo to destroy things. The powerful mind in the negative mode is already destroying. So can you imagine all these people who are meeting the pandemic with fear, strong fear? Just a thought of dying can begin to simulate the process inside of you. And this is thought of healing and being invincible begins to create a process of improving your immunity. Just a lovingness of your being begins to improve immunity. Lovingness. Oxytocin with the hugging, dopamine, the hugging energy of oxytocin, the exciting energy of dopamine, the contented energy of serotonin, the power of endorphins. You want to produce these things, and they can only happen with all these positive thoughts that you create within you and positive feelings that you create within you. The chemistry is associated with the quantum field, with the mind. And so your first line of defense is the mind. As we think, so we become. This is not a new statement. As a man thinketh in his heart, so we see. That's in the Bible, the Psalms. And the great thinkers of the past, they've spoken to the subject of the mind and how the mind can create all these things. Bhagavad Gita alludes to this in saying that lift yourself by yourself. Use your mind. For yourself, the self-same self is your friend or your enemy. What do you make it? Master, the Christ. Master, how can we heal like you? If you only have as little faith as a mustard seed, you will tell the mountain to move and it will move. Have we lost that power? The power of an invincible positive mind and positive thinking driven by a powerful spirit. If we have lost it, how can we regain it? Every effort should be made towards regaining these powers that we have, to keep the mind constantly positive. I know what it means to have a mind that is negative. I know. Uncontrolled. That's how I went in there. Everything that I would want to not think of, it just looms up in my mind and I had no control, absolutely no control. I gave up. Somebody has to help me here. And I need a true master. 21 years I'm searching in India at the age of 21. But as destiny would have it, if you knock, doors will be opened. If you knock sincerely, and doors were opened. But a magical shift in consciousness brought me into the energy field, the quantum field. It brought me safely there. So I know the power of support. And I know what it is to shift. The moment Satya Sai Baba saw me, he says, too much thinking. Too much thinking. Not a word said. I started to cry. He came and he hugged me and he held me. He said, don't worry, don't worry. Muktananda didn't even meet me, but provided such a powerful field. The moment I sit in his ashram, I felt a huge lift in my being. I felt I'd come home. And I did go home, but the home was more inside me. That external home shifted me to a home inside. And I've lived in there ever since. And I've grown more to understand this home inside and to use it effectively. So we need to understand this quantum power we have and to understand where the navigator is within us, where the control center is, and to be able to access that control room. And to be able to use it effectively, and here you need a master, just like Arjuna had Krishna on the battlefield. In that masterful dialogue you see how important it is to have a master. Then we can safely navigate with guidance. Some of us in ego thinking, we think that we can do it by ourselves. No. We'll never be able to do it by ourselves. Because in giving up that ourself, a different self takes over. A different self takes over. One that is so huge that we can't even call it myself. It is just self. My God, your God, myself, yourself, now. No ownership. It owns you. as with everything else, it owns. Allow yourself to be driven by the universe and not the puny minds that we have. So we need familiarity with the quantum field. We need to understand what happens in the inner apparatus of mind and intellect and ego. We need to understand it. And then we'll be able to use it as it's meant to be used. A gift that is given to every soul. You have the power of the universe within you, but you have to lock in to the field. In separation, you'll feel helpless, insecure, or you may feel an abundance of ego, which will be humbled eventually. An abundance of ego just inflates you. And of course, with that inflation comes deflation. Transcendence is the name of the game. Out of the box. You cannot do this in the box. Out of the box. That's how the master operates from. Doesn't own anything. Doesn't identify with anything. Transcendence. That's where our true nature is. So we have to learn not to be in the mind to manage the mind. We have to move away. The gift of grace lifts us into that space where we can begin to see. Look! Look, the Master says. Look, look, look. Don't look with an ego. Just look. Just look. Don't look with an ego. Just look. It's in the looking that you will see. So what I want to say to you today, be aware of the quantum energies that you move every day. In every pattern of thought and emotion and self-identity. Be conscious of it. Don't be so carried away by these identities that you're not conscious of what's happening. Be conscious. Learn to align with the center of life itself. And you'll be guided safely home. Prodigal son returning to a feast. Kill the fatted calf. Of course, no violence here. It's metaphoric. So know yourself, everyone. Know yourself. There's so much greatness within you that is beyond measure. You are the universe in finite expression. Learn to live in infinite consciousness. Humbly. Being non-judgmental and unconditionally loving. That's a secret weapon. Those are the secret weapons. Use them. Have a blessed day, everyone. My soul bows to you. Namaskar.